In Austin, I'm Mark Mullins. Two people were taken to the hospital on Wednesday morning after a home exploded in southern Gillespie County. Multiple first responder agencies were called to a home on Serenity Lane, south of Fredericksburg. The home was extensively damaged, and a detached outbuilding also sustained some damage from flying debris. Police said the cause of the explosion remains under investigation. A 19-year-old is now facing a murder charge for a shooting that happened last month in Fayette County. Officials with the sheriff's office say on April 26th, there was a shooting in LaGrange that left 24-year-old Alxavier Hall dead. Now Robert Earl Crawford III is charged with murder and aggravated assault. The sheriff's office tells us a grand jury indicted him. He's currently in federal custody on an unrelated charge. Texas voters have decided who is advancing to the November election after the primary runoff took place on Tuesday. And this includes the high-profile race for one of Texas's Senate seats in Washington, D.C.
And to the people of the great state of Texas, tonight, we just made history.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton won the Republican nomination in the U.S. Senate race, defeating longtime incumbent U.S. Senator John Cornyn. AG Paxton finished the night with nearly 64% of the vote to Senator Cornyn's 36%. Cornyn finished the March 3rd primary with more votes than Paxton, but the AG cruised to a win fresh off an endorsement from President Donald Trump. If you followed this race, you know it was full of tense back and forth attacks between those two candidates. During his speech last night, Paxton thanked Senator Cornyn and told Texans he wants to earn their support on the way to November.
Tonight is not the end of a campaign. Tonight is the beginning of the fight to preserve every value we hold dear. The future of Texas and the future of America is on the line, and I intend to do everything I can to expand our movement. I've won 3 statewide elections because I know how critical it is for our party to come together, and that's what we must do now.
Last night's results marked the beginning of the end for Senator Cornyn on Capitol Hill. He served as a senator since 2002. During his concession speech last night, Senator Cornyn pointed out the low voter turnout in the runoff, but said he trusts Texans and respects their decision.
That those who show up decide for those who do not. There's a simple rule in elections, you heard me say it before, and that is the candidate votes wins. The party in the majority gets to govern, and my hope is to keep my party in power for generations.
And while he did not mention AG Paxton by name, Senator Cornyn said he will support Republicans in the general election. And just like that, we're down to 2. AG Paxton will face Democratic State Representative James Tallarico in November, and the two didn't even wait 24 hours before starting to hurl attacks at each other. Wednesday, May 27th, marked 29 years since a devastating, deadly tornado struck Jarrell, a small town in Williamson County. At the time, it was known as an F5 tornado, one of the most powerful tornadoes to ever be recorded. 27 people died in one neighborhood of Jarrell. The tornado was strong enough to destroy entire homes, leaving only the concrete foundations behind. Now, Jarrell Memorial Park honors the victims of the tornado with their names etched in a stone monument. KVUE is a proud sponsor of Honor Flight Austin, which honors Central Texas veterans for their service with trips of a lifetime to Washington, D.C. This time, KVUE's Bob Buckaloo introduces us to a Central Texas wartime helicopter pilot who recently was given an unforgettable honor.
During the Vietnam War, helicopters became one of the most important tools used by U.S. military forces. Despite their advantages, helicopters also faced many dangers in Vietnam. Pilot John Cooney knew those risks firsthand. He flew Cobra attack helicopters during the war.
My unit was very lucky. The time I was there, we didn't have anybody killed. We had guys that got shot down. We always were able to recover them.
Like other chopper pilots, John's days were long and the risks were high.
A normal day, jump in the aircraft, start it up, you may not shut the airplane off for 10 hours.
After Vietnam, John served in Germany. Later, he spent years training military helicopter pilots at Fort Hood.
Having been at Fort Hood during Desert Storm and seeing all of the pride of welcoming people back and sending people off in good order, And we got none of that.
Years ago, when the men who served in Vietnam returned from the war, there were no welcome homes. But this spring, John and veterans like him got a very different reaction during their flight to Washington, D.C. Honor Flight Austin flies U.S. military veterans to the nation's capital so they can visit the memorials built in their honor. But there was something more that made John's visit to Washington unforgettable. He was among 4 Central Texas veterans who were invited to place a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier in Arlington National Cemetery.
When we put the wreath on and we took our 2 steps back, I was on the verge of tears. I don't have the words to describe how emotional and how honored I was to be there at that moment.
From 1,500 feet above the jungles of Vietnam to the sacred ground at the Tomb of the Unknown, a remarkable life for John Cooney. And thanks to Honor Flight Austin, he and the other veterans received a heartfelt thank you for their service and for their sacrifices. Bob Buckaloo, KVUE News.
And if you want to support Honor Flight, you can scan the QR code you see on the screen right now with your smartphone. You can also learn more and watch more of our stories with Central Texas veterans who've been on these flights by visiting kvue.com/honorflight. Tuition for public universities in Texas will not be going up in the fall. Governor Greg Abbott sent a letter to colleges across the state on Wednesday, directing them to freeze undergraduate tuition and fees. The governor has done this in the past for several years. He says that access to affordable, high-quality education is essential to ensure Texans learn the skills needed to secure jobs. Tesla is adding a sportier vehicle to its lineup, and it'll be built right here in Austin. Executives confirmed this week that the electric Roadster will be produced at the Austin Gigafactory, joining the Cybertruck, the Model Y, and the Cybercab. When it finally arrives, Tesla says the Roadster can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 1.9 seconds, with a top speed of 250 miles per hour and a range of 620 miles. While the company is hiring for software and manufacturing roles at the plant, no job postings specifically mention the Roadster yet. A Leander resident is a couple $1 million richer. The Texas Lottery announced that someone who lives in Leander bought the winning Powerball Quick Pick ticket at a Quick Trip on Crystal Falls Parkway near 183. The $20 million jackpot drawing was on May 2nd. Someone in Florida also won, so they'll share it with the Texas winner. The anonymous winner from Leander chose the cash option and will take home about $4.5 million before taxes. Lucky duck. Hey, that's all from us in Austin, and we hope you have a great day.